Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Big A Anthony Stabile, Andy Serling. Do we call this the Claiming Crown Day?
No, this is Starter Stakes Day.
Starter Stakes Day.
I'd like to call it the Starter Stakes Soiree, possibly.
Soiree. A lot to talk about. 10 races to talk about, and we have some time at the end. We'll go over some of the races. Keep in mind, show will end a minute or so before 12:50, so you can all watch on FS1, which I know you've been doing anyway. The Dubai World Cup will come on at that point. Having said that, a lot of other action. Want to remind people, America's Day at the Races will be on from 2:30 to 7:30 today. The 3 to 4:30 window will be in FS1, the rest on FS2, covering action from Aqueduct as well as a variety of races, also including all the races in the cross-country Pick 5. The best way to play those races, as always, is through NYRA Bets. Head over to nyrabets.com if you're not a member. Use the promo code MATCH200, and we will match for $200 of your initial deposit. Let's see what we got, Francisco. We have the cross-country Pick 5, I believe. That will start at 5:10. It will be Turfway, 3 stakes from Turfway, sandwiched around 2 races, both Stud Muffin and the Dad's Caps. Of course, the Carter, which he won twice, coming up next week, the Grade 1, first one of the year in New York. That cross-country Pick 5 been playing great lately. They'll all be on America's Day at the Races. Tune in for those races, culminating with the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Bankroll Builder, bet 50 or more to win on any horse in the Florida Derby on the app, and the app only through NYRA Bets. Win or lose, you will get a $20 bonus for Derby Day. That's all available through NYRA Bets. I want to remind you again about the television show as well. Anthony, let's start off with the first race.
Let's do it, bub.
Oh, we got it. Francisco, you are the man. There it is. As stated, America's Day at the Races, Saturday, March 27th, of course, that's today. There is the slate, 2:30 to 7:30. Tons of action.
And you said he has no stamina. Shame on you, Andy.
We're not even at the first race yet.
Come on, man.
Francisco falls apart late in the race. I'm telling you, he does. He's stronger.
That was like a stumble at the start, and he still made the lead.
Yeah, he's cheap speed. Anyhow, today's first race,
Nice guy.
There's not a lot going on today's first race. One of the 2 outside horses is tremendously likely to win this race. We'll start out with Malibu Mischief, who beat Rude Awakening last time. My problem with Malibu Mischief is she is completely dressed up by the race we're looking at now, which basically was an affair where nobody really tried. Rude Awakening was actually the speed, and the horse could have gone with her. I'm not going to knock them, but they basically rode her for second. Right. And it worked. Yeah, they weren't going to beat her, and if they got involved with her, maybe they felt they would have finished nowhere. So they finished second. They ran for second. I think the pace is going to be quicker. You have to think Eris will be a little more aggressive with Rude Awakening, and Ruby's in Time has speed as well. I'm not sold on this filly, who's done most of her racing out of New York.
Yeah, she's done enough good on the circuit. She's outside of the other speed in here. I don't disagree with you that Rude Awakening might be ridden a little more ambitiously today. Same thing with Ruby's in Time. Both of those fillies have speed, but I just think this filly, I just think she's better than these horses, Andy.
I'm very dubious that. Now, I'm not, we'll take a look at Ruby's in Time's last race. I'm not totally sold on Ruby's in Time because she won in a gold rail. In this race we're looking at, her big win 4 back. She was on a very good rail. She was on a bad rail 2 races back, so the race is better than it looks. But I'm not exact. She's a hard horse to know exactly where she stands. And I don't love her in this race. I just don't particularly like Malibu Mischief, so I wanted to take the other horse, who will be a slightly better price. It's not a particularly strong pick. If somebody else wins this race, I think it will be a major
She's the other horse. Yeah, she's the other horse. I mean, Fair Regis finally won for the first time in 2 years, other than Ruby's in Time. Yep, on a gold rail. Other than Ruby's in Time, Malibu Mischief, it's hard to find another in here.
It's 4-5 with 4-5 with 2. Race number 2. Another race where the pickings are relatively slim, because the reality is that the winner is very likely to be one of the 2 horses that ran 1-2 in the toboggan. They qualified. They ran for the lower claiming price, so they're able to get into this race. But as we take a look at the toboggan back at the end of January, yes, it was a very slow pace, but American Power and Pete's play call are better. The question, I think, with Pete's play call is, did he finally not get a perfect trip, or did the clock strike 12 for him last time?
Yeah, you could.
If you think the clock struck 12, maybe you want to pitch him completely.
He just didn't get I don't think he got a great setup the last time. He didn't. Really.
He took himself out of the race early.
Yeah, he kind of took himself out of the race.
But he didn't get his
Tell you what, it's pretty cool to see 2 stakes winners here on Starter Stakes. You get horses from the bottom of the claiming ranks all the way up to graded stakes winners like American Power is. Yeah, I'm going to give Pete's play call a slight nod, but again, this looks like another race that should be dominated by the 2 stakes. I mean, these horses both won stakes in the last 3 months.
Yeah, I much prefer American Power of the two. I have, as you know, have not been a fan of Pete's play call. I think when he won, he was able, when he's finished second American Power, I still think he had an advantage on him, staying a slow pace, and American Power probably being taken out of his game in there, and he still ended up beating him in that race. I think his last race is a bad sign, personally.
Okay.
We'll see how it works out.
You could be right.
It's very, very hard. I mean, Mad Money's is okay, and he ran okay. Nice to see Ray Lewis is here.
Ray Lewis here, yeah. And then, but he's going back to ride closing week
Thank
at Sam
God.
Houston.
If
They
he
close
doesn't text me or
Saturday.
anything or say hi today, he's out with me. He's finished.
Yeah.
I'm done.
He's here for the
I
day.
moved on. He's doing well at Sam Houston, by the way.
Doing great.
Yeah, glad
Yeah.
to see it. Glad to see it. He's a good rider. Race number 3. This is the extra heat. You know
This
what
is
I think
the
extra
extra
heat's? Her 2 best races she probably lost. The Breeders' Cup, which she finished
Breeders' Cup
second.
was unbelievable.
Squirtle Squirt beat her.
Squirtle, Squirt. Bobby Frankel's first Breeders' Cup winner.
The other race I think she ran unbelievably well and was the Test.
Test.
When she dueled with, I want to say not Nasty Storm, she got left. She dueled with Victory Ride won.
Victory
She
Ride
dueled
swooped
in
them.
7 furlongs in like 43 and 4 maybe
43,
for
yeah,
the
43
half.
and change.
And she still finished second in that race. She was an incredible horse. Started her career out in the claiming races, which obviously is why.
Rick Wilson.
Yeah, she was incredible. Find her lifetime PPs. If you're not familiar with extra heat, people wonder why sometimes we're a little tough on horses that are racing now that get a lot of credit. Take a look at some of the horses like extra heat that we've seen.
Take a look at some of the horses that these races are named after
Yeah,
today.
I agree. No, I agree. Kaisha Electronica, race number 2 is for. Videogenic, Gasper Moschera.
Yep.
Yeah, tremendous horse. You claim her maybe from Wayne or something? Is that possible, Lucas?
Possible.
Yeah, she was some racehorse. So this is another race where some like Madamina, I was not one of them. Let me take this call. We'll show her winning 2 back before she based the boys in the slop last time on one of the only races that actually fell apart on that entire card, and she actually ran best of the speeds. She's in unbelievable form. Jimmy Ferraro has done what a job.
What a
he's done
job.
this race.
It looked like he made a bad claim when he ran her the first time. She got beat a pole.
Yeah, no.
She got beat a pole off Noda.
Yeah.
And you said to yourself, well, he took one, and there's a chance he's going to eat her. 3 in a row, and then a solid effort against the boys. She gets beat 3 lengths to a horse in Wicked Trick who won 6 in a row at one point last year. So now she drops back in, and she, I was one that did like Madamina a little bit in here today.
Figured Jamie Ness was due.
Well, I put her second. I mean, this mare is going to be tough regardless. Now, she's just supposed to set up shop right off Jump for Joy, right?
Well, we'll take a look at Jump for Joy's last race. Jump for Joy's run some pretty good races. I wouldn't be so quick to dismiss her. I clearly prefer the other one, but Jump for Joy is pretty good.
She is. And she was another mare. She's 8 years old. Really cool to see. She was one that was going the wrong way. Got the little break last year when we had to go to the sidelines for COVID. It forced her to the sidelines. And quite frankly, she's been as good, if not better, than she's ever been since. She has not missed hitting the board in the 8 starts since. Just 1 third-place finish, a bunch of wins. The barn has gone a little cold. Canamachi barn has gone a little cold. That worries me.
Last time you said this in the show, they won.
I do.
Last time you said that, it was
But
the worst
overall,
time, it was
Andy.
the worst of theirs that I picked.
But overall, and I think,
They won.
and
I am just laughing.
guys do a good job, but the barn has gone a little cold, and I think she's facing a horse right now she's run 3 figures. Let me take this call. The last 3 times she faced fillies and mares, any of those races, Jump for Joy would have to come with her absolute best, and she's still playing catch up with Let Me Take This Call.
I think it's closer than you think it is. I do think that Let Me Take This Call will win, but I think she is not an impossibility in this race. Listen, we're dealing with first three races where if any of the top 2 choices lose any of these races, it's going to greatly expand the early pick 5. Because this is a race where just about everybody's going at most 2 by 2 by 2.
And here's quickly one more thing. I think, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but Let Me Take This Call is better on fast
Didn't
ground.
Reed Can just win the other day for Cantermachi? Yes, he did. He won quite easily. Just pointing it out. I understand they're not having a great meet. There's no question about it.
No,
But
they had a very good start, and they have tailed off considerably.
Yeah, sometimes I don't feel as though, honestly, I've seen a lot of their horses that ran that I thought they were supposed to run well that didn't. I mean, you can't use Glass Ceiling because she's the most unreliable racehorse in the grounds.
No,
I mean, she
and
just doesn't win.
I'm not just pointing to. I mean,
No, I know you're not,
in
but
the same race, she's a black belt, ran her eyeballs out the other day. So you can. That's a point against what I'm saying. I just feel overall.
I'm not so sure. Okay.
Okay.
Race number 4. At least there are 3 legitimate contenders in race number 4.
Yes.
I'm wondering in this race, David has the 4 even money. Do you think it's going to be that big a gap between Bears Mafia and Storm Advisory? See, I thought Storm Advisory would be favored here.
Off of an eased, no.
Yeah, and a layoff too, and Storm Advisory just won. Now, we'll show Storm Advisory, and I'll show you a trainer stat just after the race. Listen, he rode a gold rail until he angled out in the stretch. And the thing was, he was running in a time period where the ATRAS horses were running off the screen. Having said that, he hasn't really run that many horses. I don't think he ran horses at all last weekend.
This is just 2 weeks ago today.
Yeah, and he had 3 winners on this, 3 or 4 winners on one card. They were running like wildebeestes. I'm going to try to beat this horse today, but I'm scared. I don't know that he's not going to be favored in here. I think it's going to be very close between he and Bears Mop. As you see,
I think this horse. I think Storm Advisory will go favorite.
So do I.
Off the, like you said, it's a November
I think
layoff.
very close at very least.
Off a November layoff in the eased, as opposed to a horse that just won 2 weeks ago. I would imagine
now,
this
one
horse
thing
is favored.
that Bears Mafia has going for him is there is no speed in this race.
There's no speed in this race.
And that's why probably one of the reasons that David made such a distinction. Now,
but he still has to deal with the layoff, and he still has to deal with the eased after running a series of races where he was hickory. He was showing up to the starter every 3-4 weeks and running very, very the best he's ever run.
I get it. I'm not arguing with that. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I think it's very valid.
For a horse that was untrustworthy at the beginning of his career, too.
We'll show his race 2 back. If he runs this race, he's going to win. I mean, this was some performance by him. But I agree. I put him on top. I saw the morning line, and I thought about changing it because I thought, geez, if he's going to be that big a favorite, I'm not supposed to like him. I didn't really want to pick the 6. I don't totally trust him. I don't think the horse you have on top, Square Shooter, is impossible in here. I know you have to get at least one Wayne Potts horse on top.
Of course. Star Stakes Day. It's his first one. Here. Yeah, this has always been very popular, Square Shooter, at the claim box.
Anyhow, Bears Mafia is the speed in this race. If he runs his race, he's going to be tough. Square Shooter, I still am not sure how good he is. He has had pretty good setups in the races he's run well.
Yeah, he has.
I mean, he was against the track 2 back, but that was a race that fell apart, but he was best in there. The horse that beat him got lucky and got a better trip. Now, last time out, he just got a very good trip to get it done. The other thing is, you say Bears Mafia, I know he's where's Square Shooter been?
An avoided claim to boot.
That's what honestly scared me about
Here's the funny part of it. The safe play here, the layup here would have been to take Storm Advisory.
Well, right.
Ran 2 weeks ago, won. Yeah. I feel like the other 2 horses have, and I put Storm Advisory second because, I mean, eased and gone 4.5, 5 months really scares me. I don't know. I went to Square Shooter. I do think Storm Advisory is going to be the favorite. I don't know if I would want him as the chalk. But again, like you said, it looks like it's those 3. I'll take the biggest price.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go beyond those 3, Maybe you play the pick 5, you go 2 by 2 by 2 by 3, and you hope that 1 or 2 of them you get the second, or third choice in there and see what happens. And now race number 5, you may want to spread a lot more because I'm not overly confident about the horses that you have. I have 1, 2 in here. We'll show the 2 of the meeting, actually. It's the 2 races back for lovely Lady Lexi, and it's about 17 races back for Double or Nothing. But Double or Nothing is a horse. She was wide last time, and that was that race with Malibu Mischief where the closers had no chance in the race. Other than that, she's held good form, and I like the switch to Raylu.
Right. Like you said, I know you don't do this, but you could almost draw a line through the race last time. She had no chance the way that race developed. And her 2 races, the 2 and 3 back, I mean, she runs one of those races 2 and 3 back. She's, in all likelihood, is going to get the money here. And I'm hoping she reverts back to that form. I think she'll, I guess her problem here, too, is it's movie score. If Sister Patricia breaks, maybe she's on top of her, but there's not a ton of pace in here for her either. She does get.
I don't disagree.
She does
and that's
get to
why
go.
horses like Stitch Patricia and Movie Score can win.
Yeah. This is the kind of race, I think you said you go 2 by 2. If you're playing an early, pick 5, and I know this is not you, and you can get there cheaply.
I'll use 1, 2, 5, and 6
Yeah.
in here. Dirty Bird can't win, and
Right.
which is why she's lucky on paper. I mean, can win. As far, Movie Score has had very good trips on a good rail in both the last 2 races, but has run okay and does get a good rider change in here. This Patricia, not totally impossible in this race. At times, 3 back, she ran well enough to win here. I don't totally trust Lovely Lady Lexi, and I'll tell you something. You talk about barns. The Noda horses are not running at all.
No, they're not. No, they're not. I think when you see that, it kind of lures you in to more confidence with a horse like Dublin or Nothing.
No.
I think it happens to a lot of people. I think when you feel like that, because we both obviously think she's the second horse in here, Lovely Lady Lexi.
Well, she is. She's 5-2 morning line.
But when you take into account that the barn that goes on these streaks where they win at 40% is now winning at under 10%, I mean.
Their run at
great example was yesterday, Pier 40.
was off the charts. I have the stats somewhere. I should have looked it up. I see the Saudi Cup winner, Mishrif, just won.
Everybody questioned John Gosling for turning him back to the turf.
No, well, it is.
A lot of people did.
It is half the purse for a race he might have been favored in. Their point was that with Mishrif, as we digress, that they're going to Europe to run in turf races. But the other thing was, I guess, if he bombed in this race, maybe they would have gone back to the dirt and come to the U.S.
Sure.
Anyhow. Keep in mind, those Dubai races are in FS1, and we will be done with the show before the running of the 25th running Dubai World Cup.
Crazy.
Which has been a year sabbatical.
Yeah.
Should we take a break?
I would like that.
All right. We'll be back. Just a moment.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and NYRA Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With NYRA Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the NYRA Bets app or visit nyrabets.com.
We hope you didn't miss us too much. We are back. He's the big A, Anthony Stabile. I am not.
Hello.
The starter stakes day, Peeping Tom. Peeping Tom win the Carter?
Yeah.
And he ran second in the Met?
I believe so.
Pat
Reynolds, yeah.
Yeah.
Great claim. He wound up his career with Michael Dickinson, I believe.
Peeping Tom.
Yeah.
So this one's a little bit more open in here. There's a lot more going on in here, and I think your conversation, to me, is Ryan's Cat the horse to beat in here?
I think he is because he's supposed to get loose, isn't he? And I know that doesn't necessarily just make him.
No, he's not faster than Rejected Again. If Raylu goes, and if Raylu isn't going from the rail, then I don't know what he's doing. Ryan's Cat is not that fast these days. He doesn't have the speed he once had, so I don't think he's loose.
Okay.
I think Rejected Again is going to go. I think the Ryan's Cat problem, and I understand you have to have at least one Rudy horse.
And I got my Wayne Potts done already.
Well, this one is a dressed off win. Last day you had the 2 Rudys off dressed up wins that both ran like garbage. Today you're going to have this one. Where did that race come from?
So
I
the
under,
race
it was a
last time,
four-horse field, and the favorite didn't finish.
Yeah, it was first time Rudy. The favorite didn't finish. Like you
Where did
just
that
said.
race come from?
This horse he never ran as that well, but he had another race that just came from out of nowhere.
That was on a gold rail. Last time wasn't even on a bias, and he got 100 Beyer speed figure. That race was even better than the gold rail aided race by about 4 to 5 lengths. So the question is, where the heck did it come from? And do you think it's reasonable that it's going to happen again? Now, we have a stat for Rudy, off a win, second off the claim in the dirt. And the numbers aren't bad, but they're not great.
You can't figure the ROI is. The ROI is hardly ever going to be good, but yeah, 22%.
But it shows that these horses do take a lot of money.
They tail off after the first off the claim.
They're not winning.
No question about it.
You're getting 7 and change on them. I think this race, you are going to always pick these horses. I pretty much always pick against them. In general, I think my side wins these arguments, Anthony.
Okay.
I'm not going to be shocked when he wins, but I don't know, man.
Okay.
It feels like he's to me, he's more likely to turn back into a pumpkin.
Okay.
And you and I disagree. I think that the one's going to get the lead. I can't see how Ray Lou's not going to send that horse. Isn't Family Biz kind of the horse to beat? Isn't he a more reliable, better horse?
Yes, and he's definitely one you're going to gravitate towards more than I am because of the distance. The distance is going to bother me a lot more than it's going to bother you.
What's just how we handicap.
I think this horse is a little bit better. Go in the mile, maybe even the 7.
When he was running route races before, he ran just as well at 6.5 as he ran those races. So that argument, it just doesn't hold. He ran second to Malibu Pro at 10-1 in a 6.5 furlong race, a time that he wasn't in great
he may
form.
have just gotten, he may just be an overall better horse.
At 6.5.
He's run fine. But he's got to deal with some, he's got to deal with a horse in Ryan's Cat. He's got to deal with Zevion.
I don't know he's got to deal with Ryan's Cat. I don't know that he does. I don't know. Ryan's Cat's got one race. One race.
Ryan's got 2 races.
One race on a huge bias track that nobody serious is going to take seriously, and one sort of random race where a favorite didn't finish in a 4-horse field, and I don't know who he has to deal with. I think he's supposed to be favored here, personally. I may be wrong, but I think he's supposed to be favored. I think he's the best horse in the race. Last time out, he was 4 wide versus a gold rail, 4 or 5 wide versus a gold rail. The time before that, he ran down Limonite. I mean, those are real horses.
Like I said, the only thing that bothers me is the distance.
But you see, we've had this argument umpteen times, and over and over and over again, you're proven wrong in that argument. And you stubbornly refuse to acknowledge it. You do, and he's got a race at 6.5.
He's got a race at 6.5, but he's got a race against...
I'm not going to spend 10 minutes having the same argument everybody started to have, but you really probably need to reconsider that race argument. You like Zavion. You're a big Zavion fan.
I've been chasing Zavion, yeah. And
you liked him last time.
I mean,
he had no shot.
He's supposed to get a good setup. If you're right when Rejected Again goes...
You're not worried about Cantermachi in this race.
Well, I am, but I'm not going to...
He can win. I'm
not going to... I don't know...
He's not impossible.
He disappointed me last time.
Yeah, but he was in against better horses.
Yeah, it's a big class drop for him.
Yeah, it's not a big class drop, but it's an easier spot. There's some... You said it's a big class drop. You're picking a horse ran 100 Beyer last time. I don't like him, but you do. Family Biz is routinely running figures in the 80s to 90s. This is not a big class... What's wrong with 12th Labor's last race? Let's look at his last race.
That last
for Michelle
race,
Nevin. This horse ran.
And he's a horse that has had some success sprinting. Again, going to bother me more than it bothers you. I don't love the fact that this horse has only won condition claiming races, and he's in here against horses that have won open races.
I don't think is totally unfair.
He got a good setup last time, and I know, you know what? For a 3 life, he ran against some good competition.
Wild Banker's been fine.
Form. Yeah, so.
This is a tougher spot for him, but
It is.
I'm not going
to trust him to go to run good races and win back to back after all of the. I mean, this is a horse that didn't win for 2 years.
But
he got good
form, and he's
his
a
last
good form
two
for a
races.
very good trainer.
His last 2 races for Michelle Nevin, you can argue, are 2 of the better races he's run.
Unlike Ryan's Cat, he's got more recent reliable form. Ryan's Cat is.
He's got a bigger body of work.
Dubious in here.
He's got a more overall body of work.
And Family Biz to me is most consistent. I think Family Biz is supposed to be favored here. Obviously, David found they'd be close. It's close. I'm not, I'm going to play against Ryan's Cat. I could use any.
I think if you told
1, 2, 4, 7.
If you asked me to bet who I think the best horse in the race is, I would bet Family Biz. But at the distance, it bothers me. But I'm certainly going to use him in the late pick 4, the late pick 5.
Race number 7, the more to tell. A lot of gas for Machera on today's card.
There should be a lot of gas from Machera on a starter stakes day.
Well, I always like Gasper.
More to tell was Barbara Davis in the blue and red and the white was blue and gray and the red hat.
The red hat?
It was a red hat.
You probably remember better than me.
Yeah. More to tell. Do you remember May I Inquire?
Did he get DQ'd? Was he the Gasper horse that got DQ'd at Belmont one day? Maybe 20 years ago in just an absolutely insane DQ.
I hate to tell you, Andy, it's probably about 26 or 27 years ago.
Well, no, it was later because it was not long after I was let go at NYRA.
You thinking
the first
about
time
Sinatra?
I worked here. What?
You thinking about Sinatra?
No, I don't.
More to tell?
No, I don't think it was Sinatra. Because I know it was after I'd worked here in the 90s because I remember I was with Bill Nader and Gasper came up, who I had never met in my life, and started singing my praises. And we were...
Gasper was great. Gasper was
But you know what?
Great.
Actually, I'm not sure. Now, you may be right. It may be closer to maybe 95.
Believe me, Mortatel, again, one of the 83.
There was a terrible DQ of a Gasper horse, and it may have
One
been
of the
his.
83 times my father had Julio Pazua's book. He wrote him a lot.
Wrote him a ton.
He wrote him a ton. So, yeah, I think Mortatel was more like the early 90s, 94, 95.
There were so many of those
And May I
horses,
Inquire?
Gasper was
The
a
first
legend.
one was Iron Gavel, right? He claimed Iron Gavel, won $500,000 with Iron Gavel.
Who do you like? We both like the same horse. You talk about Malibu Pro.
Yeah, Malibu Pro, first time
Oh, he's
Rudy.
Rudy off the claim.
You knew I was
Do you
going
have two
there.
Rudys or three today?
He got, I think, 3. He goes to Ken. He gets a big rider upgrade to
Did he get
Kendrick.
like a dinner or something?
No,
He could
I tell
pay
you
off some of the
what,
lunches.
this horse's race 2 back was really befuddling to me.
Really?
Yeah.
What was wrong with it?
I don't know. He kind of he wasn't as aggressive as he had been. I talked to Romero about it. Romero Mirage wrote him. He goes, he just kind of broke flat. He kind of wanted to
lot of
wander
his
to the
horses broke
outside.
flat.
Yeah, but this one in particular that day, after running well in the subsequent in the 2 prior starts, and now last time out behind that in that family bid Limonite race. Now it's first time Rudy. He goes to Kendrick. I just think there's a lot to like here.
He's a very logical horse. 2 races back, it was a very, very strong speed track, and he had no chance. He gets significant rider change. He ran against better horses. He lost a horse that will have won the 6th race, the prior race. He's very logical off the claim to Rudy. I like him.
You're such a sick guy.
I do.
He lost to a horse that's going to win the race before.
Yeah.
What a sick
To
individual.
me, honestly, the only other horse I'm going to use in here is the bottom, Dark Storm. We'll take a look at him beating Supreme War or 2 back. At the end of the day, he was just running against better horses last time out. Crump's Little Todd actually showed up, even Twisted Tom. I know First Line doesn't compare.
Better horses last time. And you know what? I think people maybe get a little confused that his big fig came going the mile. Well, no, it came going the mile. He has a win going the mile and an eighth. I think maybe this is a horse that he's 3 for 7 at the distance. I think the cutback and obviously the drop in class. I mean, he ran against.
It's an easier field.
Yeah, this is a much better. This is a much easier spot for him, and I think it's a much better distance for him. I think the 1-turn mile suits him a little bit better.
Why do you think that Supreme War is supposed to be? Oh, it's Rudy. Yeah, silly.
Well, Supreme War.
Rudy won 2.
Supreme
Does that count as 2 Rudys for you? It's like
Supreme
1.5.
War that was a filthy beat last time.
What
Filthy beat.
percentage of Rudy's races that Rudy's in do you think you pick him on top?
Leaking. Percentage of races Rudy's in that I pick him on top? 27.5.
Yeah, I'd like to take the over on that for $1 million.
No.
Mick says
You
that
realize
the
how many
first,
races he's in? Every day?
Yeah, you pick more than 28%. Richie says Gasper, and I'm going to forgive Richie, he's a jockey, an ex-jockey, for misspelling Gasper's name, but he knows Gasper No, the movie director, is Subordinate. I don't remember him. I remember Subordination, who was the Plarovich horse, who was a very good horse that Gary Siaka had. But
Yeah.
I'm sure Richie's right. Richie's like gold with this.
That was the
Never wrong.
DQ?
No, he's saying it was his first good horse. Could be
Subordinate.
before your time. And it could be like in the 70s when I was, I didn't follow this.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was his first good horse. I thought the first claim, pun intended, to fame was Iron Gap.
What about Videogenic? When was she? Later? 'Cause wasn't she like a $75,000 claim that won second to grade 1? She was second like the Bev D or something?
Yeah, but Iron Gavel was around for 4 or 5 years. I mean,
Are you
Gasper
involved
just
at Gulfstream?
I just took a filthy beat.
Oh.
I had 4 horses. The 4 horses on the camera. I don't have the one that wins at 17-1. Mott First that wins the first. Not alive in the pick 5.
If I could, I'd go over and give him a hug.
What are you going to do? You could give me a hug now.
I'd be happy to give you a hug. You're a great man. Race number 8. I had trouble with race number 8. Did you like the 2 in here as well? Who I had second?
I did.
Yeah, I thought you had her on top. I had her
Yeah,
second.
I did.
thought she was interesting.
Me too.
She's kind of an annoying scratch. I agree. I thought she was an interesting price in here. That was to me the most annoying scratch in Days Car.
Because she was an interesting horse that was going to be a price.
Yeah, she's going to be a fair price in a race where in races where because at the end of the day. I know you can't be that excited about scratching into
I am
the
not.
horse you scratched into. Now, let's start with Sirenic, because she's the first video we have, and we'll show her win 2 back.
Okay.
She did run in a good field. The problem I have with Sirenic is she's dressed up in this race by riding a gold rail.
Yes.
And I just can't take short-priced horses, and I also hate entries. And Excessive Capacity is dressed up by riding a gold rail, and I bet her last time, and she got a little lucky to win that race. And so you've got her, and I don't want her because, frankly, Violet Trick probably ran better than she did. And I just can't take a horse on top. But she did run against better horses last time, to be fair.
Yeah, Sirenic, and if you like
She's the horse to beat, Sirenic.
the other part of the entry.
You picked like the 1A, right? You just missed number.
No, I don't really like Sirenic.
Oh, you love
today.
horses that won on gold rails. I always forget that.
I don't like Sirenic today.
Yeah, you like excess capacity over Sirenic. Can we bet a lunch the 1A beats the 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know the race is at a mile, right?
I don't care what it is.
Okay.
You have a distance issue that I don't have. We're 66 still, right?
We are at 60. We split yesterday.
Yeah. No, 2 days
66.
ago. Did we bet yesterday?
Yeah, well, no, our bet is today.
Yes,
Collaborate Spielberg.
So
Don't forget that one.
we disagree. Okay. But listen, it doesn't matter. Obviously, you have to use the entry, regardless how you feel. I don't know how you can like the 1 and not have the 4 anywhere, because the 4 raced outside of the good rail and still finished just behind her last time. So how do you like the 1 of the entry and have the 4 nowhere?
Because that was 2 starts back, and that was when Linda Rice had the 4.
But Violent Trick's coming out of an impossible spot. Oh, you did trainer change. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So Mia Bella Rossa. We'll show her, and then I'll show you a Scott Lake stat.
And like you said, I am not thrilled about scratching into this horse on top.
Yeah.
With
She
that
ran big
said,
last time.
she ran good last time.
She did.
Yeah, you know, I trust in Kendrick to do what's best on the front end. I would think with Sirenic in the race, Sirenic is going to be the controlling speed. I can't imagine why Sirenic is in here if they're going to rate Sirenic. So my assumption is Sirenic is going to go to the top in here, and Kendrick's going to have to get me Bella Rossa. And when you take this stat into consideration,
She and Sirenic are pretty similar in this pace. Scott Lake, the point of this was more, Scott doesn't run horses here anymore.
he doesn't. It's amazing, isn't
I
it?
like seeing Scott here.
Yeah.
Always seemed like a good guy.
Scott's
I don't know
like
that well,
4th
but
or
always liked seeing
5th
him.
all time.
Oh, he's got a zillion wins.
6,500. I think he's at 60.
I can't remember the last time I saw him.
6,600.
When's the last time you saw him?
I haven't seen Scott. I couldn't even
Forever,
tell.
right?
Probably, you know what? It's probably like 12 years. I think I saw him. The last time I saw him was at Parks. I had to take a ride down to Parks. 10 years ago.
I just don't want to take these kinds of horses at short prices. It just feels like I'd rather stick with the locals. I don't mind using a horse that's a big price that comes from out of town as well.
Well, you got to use her. But, as far as picking right,
I got her third. I don't. She
Yeah.
can obviously win this race. You get no argument from me. I don't have a lot of. I got to give Miss Mimi one more chance. Do I love her? No, I don't love her. Am I overly confident that a mile is good for her? Well, the reality is she's run plenty of races at distance races back in 2018 that all sort of fell in line. She was very confident going long, because it's not, you see the 3 miles, but if you look back into her lifetime PPs, you'll see she ran a mile 70, a mile 16th, and she ran fine figures. So I'm not worried. And the reality is she was so dramatically compromised last time by the ridiculously slow pace that I don't want to hold against her. And the time before that, she was wide against Sirenic and the gold rail. No, because she was compromised by a slow pace last time. She was wide against a gold rail. So I don't really think so. She caught a muddy sealed track the time before that.
Let me
So
rephrase.
no, I think she's dressed down. I think she's a classically dressed down horse. No, and I think that's a problem you're having, because you're not paying enough attention to these biases, Anthony.
Counselor. Let me rephrase.
But it's
Do you
true.
feel like her do you feel like her best days may be behind her? If you're not tailing off now.
No, because the last time she didn't have an excuse.
Well, forget about last time.
She won it. No, the last time she didn't have an excuse, she got a 71 buyer and won. So no, once again, compromised by a slow pace, wide against a gold rail, muddy sealed track. So no, I think she's actually legitimately got excuses. And I'm not a guy who's running to make excuses. I'll toss him out after one bad race.
I'm using her. I'm using her. This is the race with Chase and Chase and Bryn was no cinch, but I felt like I had a little bit of a better grip with Chase and Bryn. At the very least, it wasn't going to cost me as much money if I'm wrong in here.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I thought she was interesting. I was going to fool around and try to use the 2 and 10 and be a wise guy in here, and I'm kind of with you. But I'm going to bet Miss Mimi. I'm not overly confident, but I think she's better than she looks, and she'll be a square price.
Okay.
And I'm not enamored with the favorites, but I don't. Not to say they can't win. I'm not strongly against anybody.
I'm with you.
Race number 9, a mile and 3/8.
Stud Muffin, named after me.
By the way, Videogenic, Richie says, won the Grade 1 Santa Ana.
Wow.
I thought she also ran the Bev D.
Gas was shipped?
Didn't he? No. You know who ran second in the Arlington Million? Divulge. I think Divulge ran second in the Arlington Million. He was a gas per claim for like 75,000. This is Stud Muffin, and you know, you have to think of Dominic Coluccio.
Of course.
You think of Stud Muffin, of course, the late Dominic Coluccio that was so popular with so many around here. And Stud Muffin was a cool horse. He was named for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So a mile and 3/8.
There's always one. Stud Muffin, Mr. Buff. There's always one running around.
Mile and 3/8. Let's start with Musical Heart. He's way the horse to beat. We'll show his last race. I mean, he's running against much better horses. But doesn't this pace figure to be at least contested?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I can't, even with Flowers for Lisa out of here, right? Ectobar found some speed last time. You'd have to think American Lincoln's going to be forward. Super Dude is almost always on the lead. Yeah, you'd have to think this pace is going to be honest, and maybe that's the plan. Maybe the plan is to try to work out a trip from the rail behind some of the speed. I mean, you're going a mile and 3/8. Yeah, you want them to just go.
You better go. You better go. You'll see what the other horses
Andy.
do. You better go. I don't want this horse rating. He's the horse to beat. I don't have a problem with him. He's the favorite horse to beat. Mile and 3/8 to me is very uncharted territory for these horses. And I'm obviously trying to get two horses that are inferior, but I'm hopeful can get the distance in here, and I'm not confident. See, the horse that I don't like, and I wish Jordan Wyckoff the best, is Doubly Blessed, horse you on top. You can't get away from horses that are dressed up by Gold Rail wins. You can't get away from them.
So he has 3 consecutive Gold Rail wins?
Anthony, he's got. He beat
He's a dirt horse. They ran the horse on the wrong surface.
He beat Advanced Notice.
I know who he beat. I know who he beat.
Are you sure?
What about the Malibu Star race? What was wrong with the last race? And I know it was he had the trip.
He was on a Gold Rail, and other horses were out in the middle of the track. Malibu Star ran a better race. He was being forced out in the 5 or 6 path by that horse that was drifting out, and he was on top of the pace. I'm not saying he can't win. I've got him 4th. He, like everybody, the distance is a bit of an unknown.
Of course, but he's by Empire Maker, yeah.
But he is a horse that's dressed up off of circumstance. So I can't take him. Now, to be fair, so is my horse, Air Attack. Air Attack won during the ATRAS thing. Is it me, or do the Toscanos claim an awful lot of horses from Rob ATRAS?
They do.
Right?
Yeah.
Hmm? This horse was a they knew, and he got the right trip. He was on the rail. He angled the 2-path. He ran a big fig. Don't you feel like this is a horse that could handle the distance, though? And unlike Villainous, who did suck up on the Gold Rail, to be fair, to be second, he's not going to be that compromised if the pace isn't as slow. Now, I don't know that he can run back to that race, though.
Well, there's the rub. I want to talk about going back to Ryan's cat earlier. Where did this come from?
Well, this was during Rob Atras's run, where they were all getting bet and they were all running off the screen.
And now,
but he comes back on short rest, so he's almost running a back on Rob's training.
15 days. You got to draw post. Well, now it's post 9, so I guess that helps a little bit.
Anthony, the race stops at the top of the stretch. It could be post 19.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
post means nothing in here.
He was in the game last time. Well, he
could be in the game here.
Yeah, I guess. But if he's in the game here, he's going to lose some ground going to the first turn. He's going to be wide going to the first turn if he's in the game here, because we just talked about, there's a good deal of horses that are going to want to fight for some position, and drawn outside, he's obviously outside of them all. So
I don't love him, don't get me wrong, but I do think he's interesting in here. And there are a lot of horses that I don't really like. I don't like Heirloom Kitten. I don't think that he's anywhere near as good as these horses. I know you've got him in there.
But here's the thing about Heirloom. Just gave you here's the thing. Here's the thing with Heirloom Kitten. He's a kitten's joy. So as far as him perhaps getting the mile and 3/8, I think that has to help his cause. And he's already shown you he's a dirt horse.
I don't think he's good enough.
Andy, he might not be. But again...
Okay, listen, I'm not going to go wildly against anybody because the race is
of the distance.
Full of nothing but unknowns. As far as putting Villainous on top, do I love him? No. But he's a David Duggan horse. You know I love David off claims. I think he's a terrific trainer. And he feels like a horse that may just keep on chugging along. And if the pace gets hot and some of these horses get hungry, he may be running at the end. Do I love him? Absolutely not. But there aren't that many I like in here. I think Musical Heart's horse to beat. I don't trust being long. I'm not thrilled with Doubly Blessed. I don't like Heirloom Kitten. I don't trust the 12, even though I put him on second because I figured he'd be a better price. I'm mostly 1, 2, and 12 in here and hoping to get a little lucky the 2. It's very hard for me, at least, to be confident in my own 3/8 dirt race where none of these horses have any route.
Of course.
None of them.
Right.
I'm not sure why this race wasn't a mile and an eighth. Are you?
I always thought it was.
By the way, Mig is really on a tear here. You ready for who the horse was disqualified at Belmont? Pazua rode him. May I Inquire?
I said, may I inquire?
Oh, 1996, yeah.
I said, may I inquire?
That was the horse. A terrible DQ.
They love taking
Preposterous
Pazua.
call.
Those stewards love taking Pazua.
Well, that was the call with Dave when I called up when I needed a horse for second. I was in my apartment. And he ran. I needed him for second, and they took him down second with Pazua, and he was in the 2 path, and the inside horse drifted out into him, and forced him out, and the horse outside of him. He finished second, horse outside him finished 3rd or 4th, and they took him down. And I called Dave and I said, out of curiosity, you took a horse down that was fouled. He goes, you're right, we did. I said, you do understand that the other horse bounced into him and caused him to horse? Yes, I do. So you understand you still took him down? He said, yes, we did. Fact, true story.
I'm not surprised. They love taking that guy.
The most insane conversation I've ever had in my life, and I've
We
had
used
quite
to
a few.
plan. We used to plan
on a daily basis.
We used to plan vacation. We used to plan out when we used to have the winter break from school. He would take his days.
That was criminal.
He would take
Race
his
number
days.
10, the Dad's Caps. Won 2 Carters, right?
14 and 15.
For Vinny.
14 and 15.
That was some family. Also a half to the
Paula Silver Lining.
Paula Silver Lining, who Judd might end up buying.
Yep. Got a grade 1. Got the grade 1. Won the Madison.
Race number 10. I thought 7 Lilies was the horse to beat in here. We'll look at her race 2 back. Last time she got caught in that race, the Gold Rail, she was wide. He was wide the whole way. He ran in here. I'm hoping he's got some good form. I don't know how much pace is going to be. I'm going to use the speed of Fox Red, and I'm going to use the closer in 7 Lilies, and that's all I want.
Scratch.
No, I'm going to use the 8 Queen's Jewels.
Scratch last week to run in this spot, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
I don't know that's why, but that would make sense.
Yeah, scratched last week. I think when Bob had another horse for the race, for the condition race. Can't remember who the other horse was. Yeah, I mean, 7 Lilies makes a ton of sense. Put him second. I put first time Rudy on top because I can't resist first time Rudy.
Oh, this is 3 Rudys, 3.5.
Rider changed to Kendrick.
Wow, this is like strong even for you.
Yeah.
You got to get like a Rudy Rod hat or something for the show.
I have a.
Do you have a big poster, Rudy, in your room?
No,
right?
I have a. I have
Saturday Fever with Serpico?
I have a ski. What do you call them? Ski caps? I have a ski cap. I have a yellow and blue ski cap.
I think you should wear the Rudy ski
I think it's
cap.
up in the office actually. Sometimes it gets cold in the office, but you can't put the heat on because it's too hot.
Well, it was 99 in the booth last week, you told me.
That was it said. I almost
I wanted you to
forgot
spend
to
the
take a
day
picture.
there. I thought it was like the hot box.
You came up to.
How is Honorable Service possibly going to win this race?
Fog.
Unless, you just assume he's going to. He's a trainer change.
Yeah.
Jimmy Farrar didn't do a decent job with this horse?
I don't know. Trainer changed to Rudy.
Okay.
I had a tough time.
That's why you took him. Just
I want
tricked on a trainer change.
I want to close out to.
Okay, let me give you Rudy's numbers on trainer
3,
switches.
8, 10, 11, 12.
Rudy Rodriguez, trainer switches in the dirt. 23 for 113 over 5 years, 20%, $1.61 ROI. So not exactly a particularly profitable angle and not particularly doing a special job with him, but that's fine. Fox Red, we look at his red yet? I don't think we looked at him
I don't think
yet,
we did.
Francisco. He lost to the other thing is he ran in this race because he was not on the rail, ever. He was too wide the whole way in the Gold Rail. And the winner was on the rail and angled out in the stretch. He was off. Fox Red's okay. He's got to get 7 furlongs, but he's loose in here. It's possible he's able to get away with a pretty tepid pace in here. I'm going to use 2 and 11, mostly. Oh, the 8. We'll get to Queen's Jewels in a minute. You got a problem with Fox Red?
You're going to tell
Claim
me.
from Rudy.
You're going to tell me I'm silly that I don't think he can get 7 furlongs, but.
Well, because we've only discussed and seen in truth.
But it's not
that
every
it's
horse.
easier to wire at 7
But
furlongs
it's
with
not
speed
every
than it is at
horse,
6.
Andy. Andy, this horse has lost some. This horse has lost some.
You're
some
like a guy who
doozies this
keeps getting
winter.
hit in the face with a frying pan. And
This
you
horse
just
has
keep acting
lost
like a frying
some
pan's not there.
doozies this winter.
Which doozies has he lost? Got outgained by Diddley, who never ran well again, who was down the good rail. In his next race, he ran a huge race. He was setting a wicked pace that completely collapsed in a vicious pace. Last time out, he chased outside. He lost to a Rob ATRAS juggernaut. You say he's lost doozies. I'm going to say he's actually run well in all those races. I'm going to disagree with you completely,
All
but
right,
that's
well,
nothing new.
give him another. I think got to give him another eighth of a mile. I know you think overall it's easier.
Well, I don't think it is. I know it is.
Okay.
It's been proven over time and time again that they get slower paces. Queen's Jewels.
Queen's Jewels is interesting.
I got to think of this horse. Horse
I'm
ran
using
last
this
time,
horse.
first time for Chris. I want to use this horse.
I'm using this horse too.
I'm going to throw this horse in. This horse really improved first time for Chris.
The infamous 5th pick. I'm using this horse as well.
The infamous 5th pick. Who's
Yeah.
your 4th pick? It's not a Rudy horse?
12, 11, 10. No, Skylar Scrimshaw. Okay. 12, 11, 10, 3, 8 are my numbers. So I'm closing late pick 5 to those 5, and late pick, or hopefully I don't have to play the late pick 4.
Okay. Let's go through it. Who do you like in the Jeff Ruby Stakes?
Wow.
I have videos for that available.
Do you really?
You don't have an opinion?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the horse I like.
I like Hard Rye Guy.
You like Hard Rye? I like Smiley Sabatka.
I figure Dale can wake up. Dale Romans is 2 for 25 with a microscopic ROI going dirt to synthetic. Just throwing it out there.
I'm using 4. I'm using 1, 2, 6, and 7.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you
What else you
a
got?
math question.
I'm terrible at math.
If there are 5 horses that you think can win this race if they transfer their dirt or turf form to the synthetic, and I'll use as examples, Sainthood the 5, the 6 Smiley Sabatka, the 7 Tarantino, the 11 Dynamite, and I'll throw in Moonlight Strike. I'm just saying,
Gotcha.
argument's sake. Yet every one of them is 90% to not handle the surface. What are the rough odds that one of them does? And if it does, it wins.
Ten to 1.
Each one is 9 to 1 to not handle it.
Oh, so
there's 5 of them, Anthony. It's just so you know, it's 90%. It's 0.9 to the 5th power, so it's around 55%. So it's around 6 to 5 dog to handle it, but it's
6 to 5
and
dog
it's an
to
interesting.
handle it.
I only thought about it. I think it's an interesting concept because what it means is. You're trying to, there are a bunch of words because the favorites, the 1, 2,
We gotta get movie theaters open.
the 10, and the 9. No, that's not true at all. I think I disagree with you completely. I think you're really way off base here. I think this stuff is very, very interesting and very important.
I do too.
The point being that it's kind of like when you like a horse, but
you at the worst possible time because I am not well versed in the mathematics of this.
it's if you like a horse and he's got to beat one horse. And you're hoping that horse doesn't let's say it's that Rudy Speed horse that won last time for Ryan's cat. But then there's 2 horses that have to not show up. And then there's 3 that not have to show up.
Loose horse.
It's correct. It's probably the one I bet. What number is it?
Can't tell.
I bet the 8.
I could be an 8.
I'd like to get my money back.
It's all red.
Feel free, somebody, to text me what horse is running loose in Dubai so I can cancel my bet if it's the horse. We got to go so people can watch the Dubai World Cup.
Yes.
Anyway,
I'll see you next
head over
week.
to NYRA Bets quickly. You got time. Because there's a horse running around the track and nobody's texting me. Use the promo